Serious, what is it like to have children you don't want? I can tell you what it's like being the unwanted child. I went to the dentist once in my first 17 years. I had broken my nose twice and I just had to walk it off. I never saw a doctor. I would get yelled at if my shoes wore out too quick and they were palest $19.99 shoes. As soon as was able to drive, the dinner table was only set for 2 instead of 3 because I could get my own food now. My lunch was a bologna white bread sandwich and an apple for 10 years straight. Fast forward, I moved in with my grandma. She said she would help out with college if I helped out around the house. First few months she got me and the dentist fixed all my teeth and I got some braces on. Second, I was a mouth breather, so I went to a plastic surgeon, fixed my deviated septum right up. She also co-signed on a car loan so I could get around. She embraced every friend that came to the house. While growing my up, friends hid from my dad because he was so mean. My grandma noticed that I would get home and run to my room, and one day she told me I don't have to hide in there, I can hang out wherever I want. That's the difference between being a burden and being wanted. My mom just forgot we existed and had another baby to keep her happy. I have 10 siblings. I grew up number 8 of 9 kids. My oldest sister was responsible for raising each and every one of us. To this day she resents our mom for stealing her childhood. My sister has told us stories where as newborns we'd cry and my mom refused to get up and get us. She waited until my sister, who was a full-time student, to get up and take care of us while my mom just continued to lay in bed. My mom knew she could continue to collect welfare as long as she had children in the house, so she prolonged her welfare dependence by having so many children. I hope your sister escaped and is leading the life she wants. As big brother and father of 3 brothers and 1 sister, you never escape. You lost so much that life feels strange. A lot of things PPL do in teen ages and young age, like 20s, you never experience. So your life if a mix of try things and feel strange if you do. Can vouch. Fraternal father of 3 since age 12. I have kids and I wanted them. But, I was an unwanted kid. My mom and non-bio dad married when I was young. He raised me, but I never felt love from him at all. He married her to get her out of a bad situation. I thought he didn't want kids, but when I was about 56, my sister was born. He wanted kids. He just didn't want me. I saw how different he was with her, and his other kids they had later. Those who have kids that you don't want, they're aware on some level. I was the literal red-headed stepchild. My mother married him when I was 4 years old. I'd get hit, locked in my room, and just assumed this was normal dad stuff. My brother was born when I was 8 years old. It killed me to note the difference. My primary function became almost full-time nanny for him and later my sister. I remember getting beat because I wasn't doing a good job potty training brother. The state removed me from the home after I was almost beat to death by him. Duck that guy, he died miserably of liver cancer. My mother never left him. Every now and then well-meaning aunties tell me I'll regret not being close to my mother, and I just kind of laugh. I made myself, without her, no need to try to wedge her back into my life. As someone with a bad mother-daughter relationship, I can preach, you will never regret walking away from that situation. You might have regrets it couldn't have been better, but that's not something you have any control over. You were a child. Don't let people who have no understanding of the situation guilt you. You deserve your peace, it was hard-earned. For sure. My mother was pretty terrible. She took out her frustration at her shitty life on me. Lots of hours of being screamed at because she had a hard time talking with a customer service rep on the phone. I regret that our relationship couldn't have been better. I don't regret that I keep distance between us. I know the kind of person she is, even though she now puts a mask up around me, and my only interaction with her is because I want to see and talk to my dad. I fully intend to never lay eyes on her again the day my dad dies. I love my son, I would die for him, I'd kill for him if I had to. Yet, if I could go back in time and not have children, then I would. I was not prepared for a child, even though I worked. We planned this pregnancy. I was not prepared for how much I'd lose myself and my whole identity. I was not prepared for the sleep deprivation, the constant screaming, the colic. I think overall I had a very bad experience. I was very, very sick after having a baby. I will never let my son know this. I will never let my son feel he is unloved or unwanted. It was not his choice to be born. Edit, okay, wow, I did not expect this to blow up the way it did. To those calling me a good mom, thank you. To those saying I'm a terrible mom, well, I don't care what you say, lol. This is why women do not talk about this kind of stuff and suffer in silence. To anyone really struggling and want to talk to someone who won't give judgment, please DM me. How old is he now? I really fear the baby ages because of everything you've described, and I can only hope it ends up being worth it if I have a kid. He'll be 5 this year, and I have to say things get much better different. Hess getting a bit more independent, although playing by himself is a challenge. Hess outgoing, loud, a sasspants, and he gets a little stranger by the day. I do think COVID has impacted us a lot, the same with every family. The baby stage is the main part of why he is my only child, and I don't plan on having any more. My husband was also very involved. I definitely hated the baby stage, and will never do it again. I absolutely love my child. He was and still is and will forever be wanted. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. But I 100% agree with you that the baby stage is hell. I hated it. I loved the moments I had with him, where we cuddled, and whenever he learned something new I was over the moon. But everything else was hell, and I don't want to go through it ever again. Pregnancy was awful. During childbirth I almost died, and even after 2 years I am still struggling with my health thanks to that awful birth experience. He is 2 now, and I finally start to really enjoy the time with him. Like I said, I absolutely love him and would do everything again if I had the chance to redo my life. I never regretted having him, not even for a second. But gosh, was that a terrible time. Babies are cute, but useless and exhausting. I am glad he reached the toddler stage finally. It's so much fun. Thanks to that experience we are one and done too. I don't want to risk my life for a second child. My son needs me, I can't risk my health again. Totally the opposite for our family. In the same as you, but my wife just adored the baby years. I on the other hand was indifferent about them. I don't remember them being harder than I expected, but the baby was completely uninteresting to me. I loved her on a fundamental biological level and was a very good and participatory father, I think, but I felt, once she hit 2 years old though, I started to find her fascinating. Watching her change, learn and figure things out became highlights of each day. Every year it got even better. Fast forward to now, she's 8 years old and we do everything together. She has her own workbench next to mine. I give her suggestions on how to paint her nails. We play Minecraft together, cook together, etc. I'm not just a friend dad either. She's a very good kid, but when she does need discipline, I'm right there. My wife would love another baby. We're unable to have another, but not me. Super glad I had one and wouldn't change it for the world, but no desire to have another baby. My girlfriend had a 2-year-old when I met her. Has 5 now. I didn't plan to have kids, but I love her. I'm pretty much used to it. I teach him stuff and Hess attached to my hip when Hess here, joint custody with the father, but ideally I'd have preferred to not have a kid around. I can deal though. He can be a little shithead sometimes, Lamau. Also it's weird disciplining someone else's kid, so I'm just getting there. I can see the betrayal in his eyes. I'm supposed to be like the fun uncle, getting onto him is weird. Never really said that out loud. This is liberating. Similar situation, but the little kid is now 22. It's a wild ride, man. But don't worry about the disciplining, it becomes easier with time. Just chat to the mom so you know you have her sign off and you both discipline in the same way. My ex-husband was emotionally abusive and, if I'm being completely honest with myself, forced me into getting pregnant 3 months after going into labor and losing our daughter at 20 weeks. I wasn't ready and I hadn't really had a chance to grieve. He quit his job 3 days into my required maternity leave, so I had to go back to work as soon as physically possible. Our son was 13 weeks early, spent 2 months in the NICU and cost over $1 million in his first year. Thank goodness for good insurance. Now my son is almost 7, his father hasn't been in the picture for years, and until recently, I was doing it all on my own. My son showed incredible strength to grow big enough to breath on his own and come home, so I've made it my mission to give him a great life and make sure he never knows that I didn't want to be a parent after my daughter died. I commend you for staying strong and fighting the good fight. Deadbeat dads are puzzling entities. I will be a father this month or the next, and I want to be in the picture 100.00%. God bless you. I know you will give yourself and yours a great life.